Hi everyone, welcome to the second part of the getting started on the target video. As I discussed in my previous video, this video is split into two parts. So part one is the theory, which is all about creating your own bug bounty methodology. And I went over the things that you should be thinking about as you kind of develop your approach to hunting bugs. So this is part two, and this is going to be a demo. Now, this is going to be about what I think about when I hack and how I approach a target, not necessarily how you should be doing it, because you may not want to do it in the same way I do it. So I'm going to sort of choose a target, narrate my thought process, and I'll sort of show how I approach target and perform recon, and I'll demonstrate some note-taking and burp management as well. So I'm making this video more as an interest to how I approach problems, not how you should be approaching them. So with that in mind, let's start part two. Right, so I've got my Burp Community Edition, and I've opened up a few bug bounty programs here. So the first thing I like to do is just scroll down and see what they're looking for, right? So they seem to be more interested in mobile bounties, but they look a lot of low here. So that probably means that they're not interested in my terrible bugs. High risk vulnerabilities, medium risk. So I'm not sure this will be a good fit, just because I don't know if I'm going to be able to actually find bugs here, because I'm just having a look at kind of what they're looking at, and they seem to be more interested in kind of mobile apps and then API endpoint, contracting app-based chat services. So they don't have a huge scope either, but I might just check out and see what their website is. Here. Best friends only. Wow, that's vague. Friends and family are up to, okay. Well, they're data scientists, so I feel some kin to them. So there's not an awful lot here, and I can't be bothered to go get my iPad out of my bag. So I'm gonna say no to this one here. So I also opened Grammarly. Now I use Grammarly, so I'm like, yeah, I use it because my actual job, I'm a PhD student, and I'm terrible at writing things. My grammar's terrible. So I thought maybe I'd look at something I'm already familiar with. Taken from native apps and clients, desktop editors, mobile keyboard, and add-on for Microsoft Word and Outlook. So not really interested in something I can actually search for. That's fine. You can just close that. Right, Goldman Sachs. They seem very scary because they're like a bank and shit. So I thought, okay, let's have a look at those. Right, so okay. We've got some cross-site scripting. IDORs, I can get IDORs. That's good. What do we have? Okay, so they want IDORs, which I can get. So I'm looking here, I'm just checking that there's nothing that I'm super interested by. We've got some cross-origin resource sharing. I'm sorry for the weirdness, my hamster's awake and chewing on something. So there's nothing in this exclusion list which makes me think that there's something I can get. Like, a lot of them seem to just be actually has to provide impact. So RC policy, you know what, I'm not going to get that, so I don't have to worry about that. Oh cool, it's got quite a large number of scope. Okay. Let's have a look at their main website. Okay. They do they come with? No, they don't come with credentials. Okay, I need to do that as well. Oh, where is it? It's in like, it's in proxy options. Ah, yes, match and replace. So turned on. Let me just check that that's sent correctly. Okay, cool. Right. So that's it doesn't look like we have any credentials. No. So that one is already Goldman Sachs Wealth Management. It's okay, I don't have any wealth anyway. So I can't access that. Alright, what about Marcus.com? Thanks, Firefox. Get a loan in dollars? Oh my god. Is that gonna like a use loan invitation code? Oh, don't have an account. I don't know if this is gonna let me because I don't actually live in the US. So what I'm doing here is really the poking stage of bug hunting. Like I really am looking at sort of what's in scope and what I can do. Ah, yeah, verify identity. So I can't really open an account, to be honest. Okay, what have we got next? Oh, Marcus.co.uk. Should have started with that one. You're gonna want like my passport and stuff. Okay. I don't know if this is gonna be a good choice because I'm concerned that this is actually opening a bank account and I don't really want to do that. Okay. Let's have a look at Marquee. What's Marquee? The future of institutional finance delivered by Goldman Sachs. Wow, these all sound very boring. Oh, there's like a careers thing. Different scope. So once again, I can't really do a lot with these websites. Like there's not like a register your interest. Maybe I'm thinking too much about this though. Oh, indices. Index funds. Goldman Sachs momentum build. Oh, which way index fund? Equities, bonds, emerging markets. Another index fund is doing good. So once again, I'm not seeing a lot of stuff here that I want to hack against. Like there's nothing super user friendly, and a lot of it's like financial stuff I don't really want to sign up for. Let's keep on having a look, but I think I'm gonna move on to another. Yeah, a lot of these just have random username and passwords I don't have access to. Okay, I think this is a bust. Right, so I picked my target. It's Tumblr. I know what Tumblr does. I'm already very familiar with the idea of microblogging and the kind of platform it offers, which is a big plus because I kind of know what a user would want to do with Tumblr. So the first thing I'm going to look for is just make sure it's suitable for me. So I'm going to scroll down here. We have your standard kind of don't do stuff to stuff you don't own, so I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to break the law. And I'm just going to scroll down here because I specifically want to work out the kind of whether or not it's going to be suitable. Okay, so we have our out of scope issues. And there's nothing here that I think I could I would be like struggling to hack, because these are kind of your standard actually send us bugs please. And we've got some do not report, and we've got okay. This is worth considering that we have issues that require unlikely user interaction, which is something to be aware of. And we have some payouts, some standard payout scale. It's not super complex or anything like that. And there's some stuff on crafting or report, so I can ignore that. So looking at the in-scope items here, we've got the main Tumblr, we've got whatever that is, we've got services.tumblr, t.umblr, which is probably just the alias, assets, safe, embed. Okay, so we have your standard stuff. Oh, there's some mobile apps there. I can't be bothered to get my mobile app, my iPad out of my bag, so we'll just focus on the desktop app. So I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, yeah, this is something I can hack against. You know, there's not a huge like issues I can see, and they've received some reports, they've resolved some reports, they're an active program as well. Right, so let's have a look. So I've already created a Tumblr account here, and I've already imported the Tumblr stuff into Burp, so we can kind of see. Oh, it isn't putting it into. Oh, I'm just showing the in-scope items. There we go. So I'm just going to refresh the page here because I did all this setup beforehand. So I've made an account, and what I want to do now is just have those kind of initial pokes and see what comes out. So I'm just going to follow some pages. Oh, I didn't think of that. That looks good. And we've got some tags as well. So what I'm trying to do here is figure out where their API is. I'm just going to get rid of wanting us to do that. So it looks like this thing here, CVC, is our kind of API, but it looks like these are IDs. I'm going to take a random guess and say that's an ID of this post. So I think it's usually like a time. Ah, there we go. So that post ends in 3.6. Is this also? Okay, so that is the post ID, which is good because for an IDOR, I want to be looking for those post IDs. So what I'm going to do is just make a quick note. You know, it's nothing special. I'm just going to go Notepad, and I'm just going to make a note of this API endpoint, and then that's it. That's all I'm going to do, right? There's nothing complex. I'm just going to say, okay, what are we doing? So there's some kind of like frame. I wonder if that's just ads. Oh, it's polling for notifications. Oh, and okay, there's a like state. So is that trying to figure out if I've liked something? State false, state true. So that's the post I like. These are posts I haven't liked. Okay, so once again, I think that's kind of interesting. I'm not really sure how it works. And I'm not really sure why it's checking other states. So all I'm going to do is just note that down and keep that in mind as I kind of look for further. So these got an ask me anything. But remember, we don't test about on accounts that aren't ours. So we're not going to do that. So we've got some posts we can put. Let's put in a quote. Recon is probably a good idea. Everyone. Oh, we can add tags. I wonder. Okay, so we've got some like. It looks like they're making a query there. Yeah, tag suggest. It looks like the query is just a queue there. Okay, I kind of see what it's doing there. So we can place that. Oh, we can add it to a queue. Okay, what does that do? And what's the difference between not putting it in a queue? So what I'm doing now is I'm trying to link the business logic, the stuff that I can see, to the stuff that I can't see. So it's crawling before. Post update. Okay. So that's our first one, and this is our second one. So let's have a look at the JSON. Is it got some kind of argument here? Maybe that's different. I don't have a Linux computer. So what I'm doing here is I'm just putting in these two requests because I'm just kind of curious what the differences between them are. This has a state associated with it. Okay. Okay, so it's the state that changes here. Well, we have like an ID here, but that's the returning ID. So we probably want to look at things we can do against a post. So I can share it. Tumblr link? Oh, that'll just give me the link to the post, yeah. We can reblog our own thing, maybe. So, because I'm interested in finding idols if I can, what I really want to do is just poke this until I kind of pick up everything I can do to a post. You know, I can reblog it, I can delete it, I can edit it, I can like add captions and stuff like that. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to just figure out where those idols might be. So here we've got post ID and channel ID, for example. And we want to check that because we want to check that against our cookie up here. Because in theory, if we have another account and we run this, this shouldn't work. So, is it a post that I made? Okay, right. Let's try and do a kind of litmus test here. Let's see if we can just delete this post, despite not having a cookie. Okay. So we have HTTP forbidden. So we know that they have protection on posts, which seems likely. You know, Tumblr, it's been in scope for a while, because I think it was in the Verizon scope before it went independent and someone bought it. So maybe post is going to be quite well tested. That's fine. You know, we live and learn. There's a lot of other functionality, like we have messages, we have exploring. Okay. We have activity. What's activity? Or is that just things I have done? So it's not something separate. Queue. That's like what we queued before. Oh, okay. Oh, stagger posts. Okay. So we're dealing a lot with posts, and we kind of want to get out of that because we know it's well tested. So I think the question will be about whether or not anything else is considered a post and how it works. I'm just going to search for, oh god, sandstorm. So that's interesting. Since it links to SoundCloud, I wonder if there's something in there that's calling this sound. Oh, here we go. Search. Okay, so it looks like they send 2 requests every single time, and it just returns back stuff. But it looks like that's still considered a post, which means that the idols might not be there. The cube is interesting though. It doesn't look like it's... No, I'm gonna have a look at the SCV, which looks like the just location that the API is in. Also, we have a log capture. Which looks like it's doing something with inside the code. It's interesting. I'm not sure it's worth doing. Oh, we have so many stuff in post now. We have delete, fetch, update. This is good because there might also be a delete, fetch, update in log as well. We just need to know what to send it. What else have we got? I got tag suggest. So I think my next kind of thoughts are going to be click all of the buttons and see what other IDs I can get. Because I know I can get post stuff, and I know like is also an ID. So the question will be what else I can find that has kind of IDs, which might be good sources of idols. So that's kind of where I'm kind of at in the thought process here. I'm just looking, and it's getting to the point where I'm like, press all of the buttons. Oh, we've got some settings. Let's just turn it all on. And you press delete because it looked like a button. Is that just it? Is that how you save it? Oh, there's an export button actually. I'm not really going to do anything with that. I just want to see what it's hitting. I'm an easy person to like. And I wonder how it's calling the likes. I think we want post. Okay, so it is just saving automatically. Ah, this form key will be a CSRF token, I think. Page tumble log. I wonder if that's important and we can run more pages. This is kind of when the other stuff runs, like the Burp Premium is quite useful because you can do searches and figure out where something else is listed. But I think the best thing to do is going to be just to hit everything, like just click every single button. So what I'll do is I'll spend some time, you know, following, clicking buttons, seeing if I can get something to work, creating a new account maybe, and being able to kind of see. I think you can create multiple pages as well, can't you? So I could also mess about and create pages and stuff like that. Oh, weird new stuff we're making. I like that. So this is all really useful. Like if you can see something where it's new functionalities, then I'm just gonna, this all sounds great. I will turn it all on. If you can find something where it's like new functionality like this obviously is, great. We've got some apps. Okay, that's the Tumblr app. I thought that might be. Okay. Ah, so this is super useful. So not only is there an API, but there's actually an API like documentation for all the endpoints. So I can see what they do. Now, I wonder if this API is the same API that seems to be at SVC here. Alright, let's have a look. Okay, so we've got user-like, and it's v2, so here, what I'd be thinking now is I'd be like, okay, is there a v1? Is this different from the SVC? You know, so I'm just going to add that to the list of stuff I'm interested in. Because I'm not sure if I want to poke at the API, because I'm going to need like a developer account and stuff like that. So I'm just kind of like, just noting it down. So this is super useful. I just clicked this randomly, but the software engineers have a Tumblr blog, which is quite good because it has, like, it's giving me information on how it works, which is great recon. Like, looking at this, you can kind of see how the business logic is even working, and we can kind of understand the app from the info that they've given us, right? So I think that's super cool. I'm going to reblog that because it's obviously really cool. And I'm just wondering, because they said, I don't know if they have it available. Maybe it's only for your posts. Oh, look! The bug bounty program. Now I know notes are replies, so I'm going to do some more recon and see what my fellow hackers are doing it. So it looks like people are just talking about it, and they're not. Someone's complaining about two-factor auth. Okay, so that's a specific engineer. Okay. At the moment, I've kind of managed to swap from talking about like doing my own stuff to actually doing recon on people's blogs. So this might be good if I want to do some Google dorking later. Software engineer at Tumblr. So that might be useful if I want to do some Google dorking later, but in fact, not that useful at the moment. And knowing stuff like this is also super useful because I don't actually have to do any effort to do that. I can just, you know, see what's there. So I think if I want to go further, I kind of want to make another account and try and test some weird permission stuff. Because I wonder if I could, like, because that's a Tumblr, so I can make a new one. Oh, well, that looks kind of old actually. Why does that look super old? Why does that not look more modern? I'm gonna write that down. Because that's Tumblr's old theme, because it doesn't match with the rest of the design. So potentially that might be a good place to look for idols just because no one's looked there. Now I think I can add people to, yeah, I can submit posts and let other people submit. So that might be a good idea to see if I can change the URL. See if I can get a post confirmed without writing it. Like, this is the kind of thing I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about linking the business logic to the application endpoints and kind of make that connection in my head. Like, Tumblr's quite a small app in the sense that there's limited things you can do with each. Like type, like I've done my litmus test and I know that post is probably pretty secure, which makes sense. So I'm really looking at trying to find, okay, what's really obscure ways to use that logic to go forward. Like, I've learned a bit about how reblogging works, and that's super useful to know that a reblogging is a separate post. So maybe there's something there when reblogging is a separate post to really understand how Tumblr works. Like, maybe I can look at reblogging and submissions might be two very good methods of kind of understanding, and the fact that they post on Tumblr about how their stuff works is really useful recon, even if I'm not doing anything particularly useful. Because there's tons here about like the post format and the change in the JSON, which is really useful for me because I can use this to approach sort of further. Oh, okay. They've also got whatever this is. Okay, it's a specification. I'm going to take a note of that as well. So what I'm really doing is I'm gathering up stuff and some of my general thoughts about what they are and kind of what I'm doing. If I was going to go all out, what my next steps would be was create a new account and start testing for idols, like start noting down everything that contains a ID of some description, literally looking at everything and going, okay, what contains an ID? Maybe even looking and seeing if there's, I don't know, access to the API and seeing how it differs from the internal API that Tumblr.com uses and how much, you know, maybe the mobile app changes. And this is what I mean when I say you've got to try and organize your thoughts, because there's a lot of things I can do and I've got to choose which one to do now. So I'm going to kind of end it there because I'm getting to a point where I'd start actually testing. As you can kind of see, I'm not doing anything like hugely difficult. I'm really just having a poke, thinking, looking and taking some notes about what I found, looking at kind of doing some recon on the website and actually finding information about how stuff is done and clicking all the buttons. And this is super useful for me because it tells me what I want to do next. For example, if I wasn't looking for idols and I was thinking business logic, I would be all in looking at how reblogs work, right? Can I abuse the way reblogs work based on the information I have to make them do something weird, like reblog in an odd way, right? The other thing I'm thinking is, okay, do I need to look at, I don't know, where, like, connecting apps and stuff like that. I want another account so I can test on. I want to see how, if a submitter can change a post on a blog. I'm really looking for permission stuff rather than the kind of business logic stuff. So I hope that wasn't super random in kind of what I was doing and that made kind of more sense than I perhaps think it did. So I hope you found that interesting in some way, and I will see you guys soon.